Committee meeting June 6th, 2016 in the high school library, 6 p.m. Ms. Hames, would you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Vecchia?
Present.
Mr. Capabianco?
Present.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Ms. Callis?
Here.
Mr. Driscoll?
Here.
Ms. Sullivan?
Here. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Vecchia, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
Certainly. I
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we remain standing for a second? We'd like to have a moment of silence for Eleanor Giovanni. Miss Sarah, would you like to say a word?
Yes. Eleanor Giovanni was a woman who every year, volunteer, would come and make her famous meatballs and pasta for our senior class night on awards night. This year was the first year in probably 30 to 40 years that she could not attend. And then unfortunately the next evening she passed away. And we were sad to see her go. She loved class night. She loved doing everything she could for the seniors. And she is sorely missed. So if we could take a moment.
Start our meeting tonight with public comment. Is there any public comment? Yes.
Jim Fabiano. I saw that tonight you're going to be working, approving the Special Olympics part of it, and my request is for you guys to waive whatever fees possible for them. One, because the field is obviously, the situation that it's in, but more importantly, is that group has a hard enough time as it is to raise money. I realize nonprofits, you need to collect some money from them as well, but this particular nonprofit, it's not easy for them to raise money. It costs them more money to run their programs, and they have fewer students or individuals to run the programs. It's not like they can recruit more individuals, more members. And it takes more of a one-on-one situation for that group than any other nonprofit or any other group that does it. So my request would be to waive whatever fees you can to help them out.
Thank you, Mr. Fabiano. Is there any other public comment tonight? Seeing no public comment, we'll move on to delegates and visitors. I don't believe we have any this evening, correct?
We do not.
Next, we will have the approval of the minutes from the May 23rd to 2016 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Mr. Vecchia, is there a second?
Second.
Second by President Driscoll. Is there any discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously passes. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Bill. Abstentions. All right. Next on the agenda, we have the warrants. We have warrant SVW 16-21 in the amount of $262,385.35. Payroll warrant in the amount of $604,918.32. And we have budget transfers. Do we have a motion to take them together and approve?
Motion.
Mrs. Callis, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vecchia. Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Opposed? Abstentions? Nothing? Unanimously passes. Thank you. Buildings and grounds requests. We have buildings and grounds requests for the Winthrop High School Cheerleaders Booster Club on July 16th with a rain date of the 17th from 9 to 1 for a car wash in the Arthur T. Cummings driveway. They have their paperwork and fees. The Arthur T. Cummings Student Council is requesting June 12th from 10 to 2, also for a car wash in the ATC driveway. It comes with adequate paperwork and payment. And then we have the Winark Special Olympics date requested is June 11th from 9 to 3 at Miller Field for a track meet. And we have received paperwork and fees from them as well. I'll make a motion to take the first two, the cheerleaders and the student council, together for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry.
Any discussion on the motion for those two? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So we'll unanimously pass that. Related to the request of waiving the fee for the Special Olympics.
I'll make a motion in support of waiving the
Mr.
fee.
Capabianco, you would
I'll
like to make
second
a
it.
motion to waive the fee for the Special Olympics? Seconded by Mr. Vecchia. Is there discussion on the motion?
I think we can waive the room rental fee, but the custodial fee,
Yeah.
the custodial will have to get paid, so we can, unfortunately, we can't waive the whole thing, we can waive the school part of it.
So would you like to amend the motion?
No, I'm just having discussion right now.
Okay.
I'm not,
Number two.
Yes.
So the $150 was part of the $318 that they paid. $150 of it was for the room rental. So if you wanted to waive the room rental of $150, we would reimburse that back to them. But the $168 would be used towards the custodial fee.
Also in way of discussion, I feel like, Mr. Holden, that that's fair, that we do have to pay the custodial fees out of our school. We would have to pay that out of our school budget, but the space rental would not seem to affect any budget in town. So I would make an amendment to the motion to refund the $150 room rental, but continue to charge the custodial fees for this date.
I'll second that.
Seconded by President Driscoll. Is there a discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
So now we have to take a vote to approve it.
Oh, now we have to vote to approve
You
it.
amended it so that it's,
Right.
now you just have to approve it.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve the date and time of the use of the field?
Motion.
Motion by Mrs. Cal. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by President Driscoll. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimously passes. All right.
borrow your other pen? It's missing. Was in my book.
This, no,
It's a donation to the Neil Shapiro.
where's that?
Yeah?
Budget transfer? Oh, okay. Do we have to
To accept the donation.
accept the donation? Okay. All right, so also tonight in our packets, we received a $5,000 donation from Brian Fournier for, it's going for the Neil Shapiro, is there a Neil Shapiro fund or
It's the drama club.
for the drama
actually.
club?
Winthrop High School Drama
Yeah,
Society.
okay, so on a personal note, I would like to pledge $5,000 now to help fund the first season of the new Neil Shapiro Theater at the Winthrop High School Middle School. So is there a motion to accept this donation?
So moved.
By Mr. Vecchia, I'll second that. Is there any discussion on the motion?
just would like to thank Captain Fournier for that generous donation and his support of the arts, along with the Winthrop School and the Winthrop students. It's incredible.
It's a great gift.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, I think this will go a long way in the drama department, which is well-deserved. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? So unanimously pass accepting the donation. Thank you again. All right. That brings us to curriculum, summer reading and math programs.
Morning. Good evening, Madam Chairman. It's been a long one.
It's okay, Mr. Woods.
I got a synopsis, basically. I'll try to keep this as brief as possible from the 3 different levels. At the William P. Gorman School, I heard from the principal who said they will be sending out packets to home. They'll be covering some things in ELA, writing, some math activities. They also include a summary of the content that was covered during the year. At the ATC school, their materials will be distributed with the report cards. It looks very similar, couple of minor tweaks. Grade 3 had a book donated by the PTO They got a donation from the East Boston Savings Bank, so every student will get the same book. Then they're also going to be given a list of recommended books based on Massachusetts Book Award winners. Once they read a book, the policies at that school is that they read the book, they get their name put on a small piece of paper, a plaque, basically underneath the book, a picture of the book in the hallway that says that they've read it. 10 marks will not be used with the 3rd and 4th graders for summer work because they do not have accounts yet set up. Next year, when the district goes from grades 2 to 8 with 10 marks, they will be able to just transition right into it. But Mr. Herity is stressing that he would like to see the parents work with fluency in terms of addition, subtraction for 3rd graders and addition, subtraction, and multiplication for the 4th graders. 5th, 6th, and 7th, very similar. They're going to get a list of books to read from the Massachusetts Book Awards. Same thing with the naming underneath, and once they've read it, they'd use the Scholastic Counts, which is a program we purchased through Scholastic. We have SMI, SRI, and reading counts, and that's a way they can check and see if the kids have actually read the material and understand the material. 10 marks will be used with the 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. At Winthrop High School, over the summer, they have a very progressive reading program for the summer reading. And what it does is in grade 8, they actually get a very structured story map. It's a very structured book report format after they've read their 2 books. And it basically talks about the protagonist, the setting, the theme, the plot, the summary. It's kind of really laid out and very structured for the students. As the students get a little bit older and a little bit more mature, they start to move away from that highly structured report, and they start to go to what they call a dialectic journal chart. And a dialectic journal chart basically takes a 2-column chart. On one side they have to quote text, and on the other side they have to make comments, their own personal comments about the text that they read. So it's a little bit higher level, it's a little bit more mature thinking, and we do that for the 9 through 12 students at the high school for the summer reading program. Math program, I tried to get in touch with Mr. Crombie. As you can imagine, he was extremely busy last week. I was at a math meeting today with Mr. Beck, and to be quite honest with you, I know they are going to give out some type of math work for the summer. I did not get a lot of details from him. We were in a meeting talking about other math issues. But all of this material will be going home, whether it's with report cards or whether it's online. Some of it, I believe, the Gorman is already on their webpage. I'm sure Mr. Herity will be posting on his webpage. And the high school actually uses an interactive summer reading list that's on their webpage as well for the summer. So our students will be busy this summer, and we will keep them so we don't get that. We try to eliminate that summer drop off or that summer regression in the students. You want to keep it. It's a fine line. You want to keep them sharp, but you don't want to keep them. It is summer, and you don't want to overdo either. So.
Thank you, Mr. Woods, and thank you to East Boston Savings Bank and the PTO for the donation of the reading materials for the elementary school students. It's very generous. Is there any questions for Mr. Wood? Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll move on to subcommittee reports. We did not have a policy subcommittee. Okay. There were not any other subcommittees since the last meeting then. And superintendent's report, Mr. Massaro?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the senior class who graduated last Friday evening. It's a wonderful ceremony. I'd like to give special thanks to Mikhail and Rich Safuni and our custodial staff at the high school who worked tirelessly to make sure that the rink was up and available. As you know, we switched gears on that about 3 weeks ago. I don't know if you realized, but you were sitting on ice that night with the floor down. And
It felt cool.
it felt a little cooler,
Like
which
you
was
were
good.
freezing.
And actually, the temperature worked out well in there. But overall, our seniors who graduated did very well. There was some great awards, as you all witnessed. It was a wonderful senior week last week with the senior prom on Tuesday night, the senior awards night on Wednesday night. Thursday they had a luau. But Thursday we also started a new tradition which I was very proud of, whereas our graduates had the opportunity to walk through the school, the current William P. Gorman and the Arthur T. Cummings School. And at first, people weren't sure what that was going to be all about. And then once they saw those students coming through with their cap and gowns and all our kids in the hallways high-fiving them and teachers crying, because teachers taught these students when they were first, second grade, right up through sixth, seventh grade. It was very emotional. And the point of it all was to remind the whole district that this is what our goal is. This is the ulterior goal, is to make sure that our students graduate. And a lot of times, our teachers and students at the lower levels don't get an opportunity to see that and understand what that's about. And so this gave them that opportunity. So we're looking forward to that being an ongoing tradition. And then, of course, graduation Friday night. It was a wonderful 2-hour event that I hope that parents and students enjoyed. And it's really all I can say. I just thank Mr. Crombie for the amount of work that he put into it as well. Him and his secretarial staff did quite a bit of work to prepare. It's a lot of preparation for that 2 hours, but well deserved to our graduates. So. Moving on, because we had to come back to work today after they graduated and moved on, looking at multiple things that we are working on right now. We're currently working on the end of the year. The end of the year is a week from Thursday for all our students. That is a half day for students. It is a full day for teachers. Final exams will begin at the high school level for grades 8, 9, 10, and 11 next Monday. And they will be in the morning, those exams. There's a lot of activities going on. As you know, tomorrow there'll be the 8th grade's annual trip to Washington, D.C., which will begin. I will be attending that trip. So if you need to get in touch with me, just call me on the phone. I'll be on the bus, so there's nowhere else I'll be. So, and we can touch base there. But so there's lots of activities happening. Tomorrow night there is the Underclassmen Awards night at the high school. If you get a chance to attend, please do so. I believe that's at 6 o'clock. So you might want to stop by there. And then there's multiple things for us to prepare, because once the end of the year comes, we will be moving, starting on the 20th of that Monday, we'll be moving the Gorman back to the fort, the fort back to the Cummings School, and moving 6th and 7th grade furniture out onto trailers. And then we will pause the move until July 5th, when we will then move this building materials into the new middle school, high school. It's getting really, really exciting. And now I can feel excited to talk about the new middle high school without feeling that guilt of the students that didn't have that opportunity the last 2 years, because they've graduated. And so we're 8 days away from school, 7 days of school left, and those students will be now moving on to a brand new building. Tonight you will see down under new business that we need to start to look at transferring this building to the town as of certain date. And I have earmarked 9/1, because we are going to use this building in the summer during the transition. But as of 9/1, I would like to see us turn this keys over to this building over to the town hall. We will receive the keys to the new building somewhere around June 28th, 29th, 30th, in that vicinity. And then Gilbane will still be on site to finish up final areas. They're not just going to leave us, but it'll give us an opportunity. They'll be at a smaller areas of work at that point, but they will be there, and we're getting very excited to get this moving. Now, in regards to a couple of other things, though, that I've been doing some work on and looking at, is that we're still having some major boiler issues over at the William P. Gorman School. And I got a report the other day from Rich Safuni in regards that there's a hot water heater that needs to be replaced. And then there's also some issues with the boiler. And so both of these, when you take these areas together, you're looking at about a $46,000 expense between some of these capital improvements that have to happen. So one of the things that I'm going to do is you may be aware, is that we have established within the town, when free cash came through, they've established different funds, and there is a capital improvement maintenance account. So it's my responsibility, or any town department heads, to put a request in for these types of services that are in. And if there's money in the account, that decision is made by the town council. So I will put from Rich's emails that says there's no way around it. But he is looking to get us, he's got some things under 10,000 for some repairs and some other repairs. There's no way around the new hot water heater that we need there, as well as some of the boiler work.
Is there just one hot water heater, or is there several? Or seems to me that would be a pretty big item.
Yeah, I'd have to defer that to Rich on what's.
So they need a hot water heater, and there's
And then
gonna
they
be
need,
work done
and
on
then
the
there's
boiler.
on the boiler system. We had already replaced the boiler down there about 4 years ago. So the other question is we're taking a look at insurance purposes and stuff through that when I talked to the town manager about it. Because there's a certain type of boiler system that was put in. And see, these are the things that we want to avoid now, going into a new building. Because we want to make sure that all of our maintenance equipment is being properly run. And I don't know why within 15 years that we're having malfunctions on some of these types of equipment, but we are. And so, to deal with this type of expense, that's why we set up those accounts under free cash, so that departments could go to these to say, is there a possibility to get this type of money out? But, so I wanted to make you aware that that's where I was going to go to first. In our budget, we have an extraordinary maintenance account that is put in place to handle these types of things. But moving forward to next year, that would totally wipe out the extraordinary maintenance account right off the bat. So I'd like to try all my avenues before I go to that. So
Mr. Sarah, do we know the urgency in which this needs to happen?
I think the urgency isn't like it has to happen tomorrow, but I believe that from the research that Rich has done with Mikhail, Filipko, and John English, is that we have to get it done. And so during the summer would be the best time to have this completed.
Yeah, maintenance was the problem. It wasn't, the boiler went in and no one maintained it. No one conditioned the water. It rusted from the inside out, is what happened to both boilers. One was replaced. And the hot water, I think, is primarily used by the cafeteria. So if they're not using it this summer,
Right.
it's not an acute problem right now, but maintenance should be, along with the expenses, looking at whether it's a monthly or whatever it is, a company comes in and does the
Right.
water testing and treatment and
Right.
so on. And maybe check the water that's coming into the building, if it's something high-end, something that's causing these problems.
Right. And John English has done a lot of work down there trying to get all of this equipment up online, making sure that it's, the pre-maintenance is happening and all those types of areas that are working. And I agree with you. It was, if it was a maintenance perspective from the beginning, we weren't trained enough or didn't know what we were supposed to do with this equipment. And we've paid the penalty a couple of times. And so now, moving forward, we want to make sure that these things are properly maintained. And that's why we did put in this, with the school dude, all of the equipment, all our assets are now online. And we have a pre-maintenance setup that's going to happen every 6 months, every 2 months. Everything is coordinated. And it's also Mr. Filipko's job to make sure that those things are coordinated and worked through. So I feel strongly moving forward, but we've got to get these areas taken care of.
Has that system already been in place? Is that system already up and running? The school dude with the coding
Yes.
for all
Well,
the...
it's the school dude is up and running.
But the coding of all the
Right, the coding has all
appliances.
been done. Whether or not, we just have to now make sure that it's transferred to us, because we did have the company came out, Gilbane came out and did all of the assets, and they've recorded everything on it. Now it's a matter of training the senior custodians on what to do and where it's going to happen. But that's underway. Okay, there's Another item that is not on the agenda, and we could move it later, but there is some food service department sent me a few following items that are surplus. They have a couple of things at the Cummings School and at the Gorman Fort Banks, a 4-door reach-in refrigerator and another 4-door reach-in refrigerators that are no longer working, and so we have to declare these surplus so I can move them out.
Is there a cost for disposal of these? Do we know?
I think there is.
Both items have been not working, so it's a cost. So it's a cost to repair them. They don't want to
Right.
repair them. On the refrigerator, I would have to check. But usually, what happens when we declare it surplus, then the town we let the town know, and the town will remove them.
Okay, so we'll put that on
We
the
can
agenda
also
for
try
next-
to. But if we try to sell it, somebody might want to come in and buy them and say, "Oh, I can repair these," or we can give them away and somebody can take that. But we can't do anything until it's surplus. And then if you were to sell anything that was surplus, that money goes to the town.
Right.
So I want to make clear. We can get that on the next agenda.
Yeah, we'll put it on the next
Okay, great.
agenda.
We've been working with Veterans Field out of the new school building project. Mr. Vecchia has also been on that committee. Right now, Veterans Field will be shut down between July 1st and September 1st. As you may have seen when you drive down, the bleachers from the baseball field are gone. The backstop is all gone, and all of those cement barriers that go around the whole field are gone. So they're going to be redoing the infield. They're not changing the degree anymore, but they're redoing the infield of the A field. They're going to be seeding the whole outfield. They'll also be doing improvements to both Little League fields that are right there on the B and C field. There'll be a brand new backstop in the back area that's going to be closer to home plate. Therefore, when the foul balls go, it should grab the foul balls as opposed to what's been happening now where the backstop is too far away. There'll be new dugouts that will be put in there, and there will be a barrier that will go around the park that's very similar to the barriers that you see now on Veterans Road. It's that wood. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. Mr. Vecchia, go ahead. You've got it.
Veterans Road, you know, the new.
Yeah,
wood-
they're
Post.
putting them
Like
around
a
all the
guardrail.
parks.
Post.
Wooden
Wooden guardrail.
Yeah, they're going around all the town parks.
Right,
Yep.
and it's
People have
really
seen it.
nice, and it should work out really well. So we're really excited. That's costing, that's about 430,000, but that was taken out of the school building assistance committee. They funded that so that we could upgrade that field. As you know, the Miller Field is under, that will be decided in 2 weeks from tomorrow with all the projects that are going on for that area.
Can I ask
So,
a question?
yes.
about that?
Yes,
So
President
where
Trump.
do the Little League teams play during the,
So between
Reconstruction.
July 1st and in September 1st, I'm not sure if I think Little League may be complete by then.
Yeah, it is.
So they would play at
They-
A
they
field if
coordinate
they
it.
were,
oh, did they?
So
Okay.
they coordinate. They were waiting to find out the final date of
Right.
Little League.
Okay.
So
right.
those dates are fine.
And if they do have, sometimes they'll have traveling teams, but they'll play at the A field across the street, so they'll be fine on it, but they just won't
Okay.
play at that field. So-
I guess the other concern is to keep outside teams from coming in and playing on the field and when it's seeded and so forth. So.
T-ball, where are they gonna go? That's the summer program.
Well, T-ball's happening right now, because I have one that's in
Yeah,
T-ball
Really? Oh,
right now.
usually that's
Yes.
after the Little League, wow.
So a lot of that, I think they put that all forward now, because I do recall last year we were down there in July,
Right,
but they've
squeezing it all in.
squeezing it all in, because, it's going to be a great benefit for the town, having this field redone, and it's gonna look wonderful when it's completed. I give a lot of credit to Vinnie Crossman on that, and the committee, on the school building committee, of really making sure that those types of things happen.
So we'd like to ask people to stay off it until
Yes,
until it's up and running, and
yes.
not to be walking your dog on it and all of that.
That is correct. So that's all I have for now.
I just have a couple questions,
Yes.
if you don't mind. After we receive keys to the new middle high school, do we know how much longer the school building assistance committee is going to stay intact, or
I think
For
they'll
any
stay
reason?
intact until we, probably over the summer and probably through the fall, just because we have to, one thing that we have to also make sure that happens, it's gonna take about a year for the building to be audited. And so there'll be lots of different types of, from MSBA that will come in and set things up and make sure that, did we spend what we said we were gonna spend on? And then, are there issues that the school building may wanna still handle? Take care of, or certain things like that. So, as far as when it ends, I'm not sure, but I would say probably a year after the project's up.
I'm thinking in terms of like warranties
Uh,
and
that's
things
what
like that.
Right.
So I was just gonna say, I mean,
Right.
Go ahead.
where we're signing off, and I know there'll be a punch list, I'm sure there's gonna be some unfinished things, but a lot of stuff in new construction, you're not gonna see for sometimes a year, 2 years down the road. I mean, is there some provision in place?
Yes, there is.
For things like that?
There is, and there's quite a bit of areas that we have on the warranty. So for example, the gym floor. The gym floor has, what we bought within that is that there's 3 years that they come back and they do a whole coat over that gym floor, the oil base to each year, so that make sure that everything's working well there. And there's quite a bit of all of that, and we're gonna learn all of that as we go through it, because we're in the process now over this month of kind of changing hands, so.
And imagine our first storm, we might learn one or two things.
We're
So-
hopeful, but not, I mean, we've
Yeah.
had some,
And that's
what's,
how it happens.
right, but what's been great is that these storms that have come in, we have not, so far, everything, the windows have been tight, the roofs have been tight, I mean, things are good, so.
Mr. Vecchia?
A couple of questions. I was approached by a couple of residents wanting to know when they can take a tour. I know there's tours that are tied in with the purchase of tickets, but there's the residents at large are dying to go in and take a look at the place.
So, there was one area that I was looking at, and I finally found it as you were talking about. I'm looking at putting together a date for the community involvement when we do a ribbon cutting of the building. And I would, what I'd like to do is, I guess what they call it in the restaurant business, is a soft opening. So what we want to do is make sure, first of all, that we get all our furniture and equipment in July, because we don't get that in until after July. And then we want to get our teachers in, and then we want to get our students in. So I'm looking at Thursday, September 22nd, or Thursday, September 29th right now, is having a ribbon cutting where the community will be able to be invited into the building. We'll have tours for everyone. We'll have our student ambassadors who will give tours. And it'll be a chance for the community to come in and see our building and for what it is that night.
Okay. Next
so-
question.
Yes.
What about parents that have children that are going to start at the
Okay.
school?
So that's going to be different. So that, what we will do on that is we will probably do like I did, if you recall here, when we opened this building up back to being the high school, I had like the Tuesday night or Wednesday night before school began, I had an open house. And I would probably do something very similar to that so parents and students can get an opportunity to see the building itself on that. But the actual dedication and ceremony would come with it.
Thank you.
The other part too that we're finalizing too is all the traffic flow down in the area. So if you come down, Payson Street where the middle school entrance side is, that's the only way you can get into the back parking lot. You'll have to go down into the back parking lot that way, as opposed to coming into the back parking lot off of Cross Street. And the reason we did that is we're gonna make that a one-way entrance, is because we do not want cars coming out of the back parking lot and turning left or turning right, that's a drop-off pickup area for the middle school. So we wanna make sure that that flows. And there is, there's going to be some concerns on that. That's an area that we're going to learn how that traffic flow is going to work once we get these two schools up and running. And in discussion with the chief of police, we want to see how that is. There will be changes that will be being made as we go along to make sure that we ensure the safety of those areas.
Mr. Perrin?
I just had two things. Is there any chance we could revisit keeping the tennis courts and looking for a different parking scenario, just because it's open space, it's ideal for what we have? I had a lot of people come up to me over the last 2 weeks that have concerns about it. Is there any way we can just approach that and look, or is it too late into the design phase, or?
Well, currently right now, the TSAC they've made the recommendations that they need that area for parking. There's no question, they feel that they need it, and they need it there.
Sorry, what's
So
TSAC?
that's come from the TSAC, it's the
Traffic
Traffic Safety Advisory Committee of the town. And the members of that TSAC are the police chief, fire chief, DPW resident, and I believe the Michael, I forget what his title is, but parking person. So that's their recommendation that they've done. Now, in regards to the tennis courts, and I'm glad you brought that up, I need people to understand that the tennis courts are not the property of the schools. Tennis courts is the property of the town. We have no jurisdiction of what they do with that piece of property, what we can do, or it's not our job to say you can take that down or put it up or anything like that. That's up to the town and the town only. So they want to move those if they do take that down, they have built into the project that they would rebuild those tennis courts and relocate those down at the Ingleside Park area. I will say, we did look quite a bit at could we put the tennis court somewhere else in this whole design area by the school. And every time we thought, well, maybe we could put it there, there was always some type of obstacle that prohibited it.
So the plan is to build a whole new tennis court
Yes.
down?
And even the two tennis courts that are here, they're going to rebuild those. So it's not like you're just gonna take tennis courts and move them down here and then say, okay, no, they wanna rebuild 4 new tennis courts that would be down in
Because
this
the
area.
concern, I guess some of the concern was, and I talked to some of the coaches, the distraction of all the activity around. It's like playing golf, you know what I mean? You're playing tennis and you've got balls flying over here, things going on, activity around it. So I just wanted to see if we could revisit it. And then the other thing, it's always been my pet peeve as I go to the next one, is if there's any way we can close Cross Street to make that a campus, would be so great to have that, with turf, and then have an open campus right over to the field would be phenomenal. I know that TSAC doesn't like that either, but I just think it would be ideal to showcase that school, and then to bring across that grass, a path, benches, and a recreational area, open space.
I don't disagree with you. I would love the idea. I think that the best way to describe it is that I think that our chiefs are a little gun shy of what's occurred with Fort Banks, and they don't want another Fort Banks type of thing to happen where you've got one way in and one way out, and they're really concerned about traffic flow. And I think that's really something that they want to make sure that everything flows. And I would say in my conversation with Chief Delahanty, in regards to the way the traffic is flowing now between the side streets and stuff, he really wants to get a good assessment of how that works before he makes final decisions on how it should flow. Perhaps once we see how that flows, maybe that could be revisited, because I certainly would love to see
Is
it.
there still funds available? We could do a traffic study for that would alleviate their concerns, TSAC's concerns, that, number-wise, what's coming through that street on a regular day?
I think there was
There was
a
a
traffic study
that
done
was completed
at
through
the
the
beginning.
project.
No, I'm talking about since now that it has, the middle and high school
Well, see,
together.
that's, they will have to do an additional one once that gets rolling.
Right, so you can see
flowing,
exactly what the
Because they need to see
flow's
what
gonna be.
those cars are gonna be. We're trying to flow it as best we can right now without there being anything, and so we need to see what our best accurate assumption is of that flow. But in regards to that, there's nothing I would love the campus style. That would be wonderful there, but,
I think that most of us here tonight would agree that it would be excellent to keep the tennis courts with the 7 oldest grades in the district. So could be just nearby for physical education classes. And it would be excellent to have that cut off, or at least closed maybe during certain hours of the day. Those are things that are not for us to say.
Yeah,
President Driscoll, go ahead.
I think it's really about the parking. It's been identified by this committee kind of in the 11th hour, I would say, that there's a parking issue. How many how many people can fit in the auditorium?
There's 590 in the auditorium, and then if you have an event at the gym, you have another 500,
So
you know.
you could have 1,000 people in that property looking for a place to park. And the concern, I think, is that if we don't do something to expand the parking capacity, that people are going to be parking up on, Center Street or all over, South Main Street, and really interfering with the neighborhoods.
Yeah, we're trying to be very sensitive to the neighborhood. I mean, they've come
I
to talk
understand.
So
to us as
that's the
well.
rationale behind it, and the council did vote, we took an appropriation vote for the entire override question, and we did make sure that we included language in there that would facilitate the parking lot and the tennis courts being taken down, and 4 new ones being built, and actually a multi-purpose new court being built.
Right, which would be the skate park.
Ingleside Park. So that's in the appropriation language, so if that's the direction we go, we can do that.
Anything else? Okay, ready to move on to personnel?
Yes, under personnel, we did have one resignation, no appointments as of yet. One resignation, Cody Savoy, junior custodian. He's resigning from the Cummings School because he's going to DPW. So he's moved over to DPW. And then we have 2 retirements. First retirement is, Dear John, I write to inform you that I'll be retiring my position as guidance counselor for Winthrop High School as of June 30th, 2016. Janice Thaxton. Like to just, give my best wishes to Ms. Thaxton. Ms. Thaxton's been a guidance counselor here for about 15, 18 years, I think it's been. And she's always worked on the best for the child, to try to get them into college and help them. And so we're delighted for her as she goes on to her next adventure in retirement. And so I appreciate all the hard work she's done, and I wish her much success. Then we have Dear Mr. Massero, on December 31st, 2016, I'll be retiring from the Winthrop School Department. It has been both my privilege and honor to have worked with Winthrop's special needs population over the past 29 years. I have enjoyed working with children who learn in different ways and watching these children succeed. My students taught me far more than I've ever imagined I could learn. I am grateful to all the administrators I have worked with, who have always given me their support and encouraged me to proceed with any new ideas I wanted for my students. I've worked with wonderful teachers, support personnel, nurses, and administrative assistants, all of whom I consider friends, not just colleagues. I leave with mixed emotions, but know it is the right decision. I would like to implement the sick day buyback option upon retirement. Wishing all my colleagues the very best the future holds for them. Thank you, Mr. Massero. Sincerely, Mary B. Calley. Mary's the moderate special ed needs teacher over at the Arthur T. Cummings, who will finish her career at the Winthrop Middle School. Mary, as you heard, 29 years. Mary has been a wonderful addition to Winthrop Public Schools. She's very caring for her students, very caring for her colleagues, and I certainly wish Mary the best, and I'm glad that we still have time with her over the fall up till the holiday season that she'll be with us. So I would ask that you take a vote on the sick day buyback.
We have a motion for approving the 6-day buyback for Ms. Callie. Is that right? Or both the
No, just
retirees?
Ms. Callie.
Just Ms. Callie.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Capabianco, second by Mr. Vecchia. Any discussion on the motion?
Why are we doing that now instead of in January, December? Just curious why we're doing it in advance.
Well, she gave her retirement notice, so we would just approve it so that we can make sure we'll budget for it and have it prepared.
Oh, okay.
Anything else? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Unanimously, we can approve her buyback. Thank you.
Then you'll see we have a lot of postings. What we're doing this year is trying to get all our postings for next year's on the activities and the athletics and all of those areas so that we can have those all finalized and be ready to roll for September instead of looking for them in September. Plus, in the drama, they're moving the musical next year to the fall as opposed to having it in the spring as they previously have. So currently, you'll see that we've had postings for high school drama director, musical drama music director, drama choreographer, tech director, drama production manager, and then we have a drama director for festival, tech director, production manager, and director of the spring show, tech director, high school drama production manager. We have a grade 5 teaching position, middle school guidance counselor, 2 junior custodians, 2 overnight junior custodians, mentoring positions, middle school adjustment counselors, and 2 second grade teachers. A middle school English language arts teacher and a middle school math. Those positions have been posted. One thing I wanted to bring you aware of that I just saw as we were going through, you might see, question the 2 overnight custodial positions. One of the things that we're looking at next year at the Winthrop High Middle is we'll have 7 folks that'll be on. We'll have the senior custodian. We have 2 custodians that'll be doing daytime shifts, one mostly for the middle school and the high school. And then we have 4 custodians that will coming in doing most of the cleaning. But the way we're doing the scheduling next year is so that at one point during the day in the afternoon when school is out, we'll have 4 custodians on. And then we will go down to 2 custodians who will primarily be cleaning the middle school because the high school is always active constantly, right up till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on a daily basis. But that second shift will do 4 to midnight. And from 10 to midnight, we'll have another shift that will come on from 10 to 6 in the morning. But from 10 to midnight, we believe that that's a great opportunity for us to make sure that all locker rooms, the gymnasiums, and all of those areas are complete because now there's nobody in there. And then the high school will be completed, cleaned overnight. So we just feel like that's one of the best ways to try to take a look at it, and that's what we're going to take a look at. That's how they used to do it years ago.
Will the high school have 3 guidance counselors?
High school will have 3 guidance counselors.
Was there a posting for Ms. Thaxton's position? I didn't hear.
Ms. Thaxton's position. Ms. Thaxton was going to the middle school.
Oh.
And so we're posting her position. She's retired, and so we're adding another high school guidance counselor at the high school. So
To be named?
to be named.
Okay.
Right. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for personnel? Okay, next under new business, we have the Winthrop High School Coach Handbook and the Winthrop High School Athletics Handbook.
And we have the athletic director here too for.
So we have copies of these in our packets.
Yes, you do.
Ms. Serino, do you want to say anything about all this great work that you've done? Thank you so much for your effort. I'm sure it was not an overnight thing.
So good evening, thank you for having me. This is something that I've kind of been putting together throughout the start of the year. And basically what these packets are, there's a coach's packet and then an athletic handbook. And basically what I try to do is just take an accumulation of everything I've been learning over the past year and a half. And I've also been looking at other schools' handbooks and policies. And basically what I wanted to put together was just an outline of anything and everything our students and coaches should know. So it's, whenever they can look at this, it basically just tells them all the information they need. It's very simple, it's very plain, so there's no questions about it. And it just, the coaches one is something we'll go over. We have our coaches meeting before the beginning of every season, so we'll have a meeting in the fall, the winter, and spring. I'll go over all this with our coaches so they know what they're fully responsible for, especially being in this new building. They'll sign off on it. They're also part of this coaches handbook is making them aware of the bullying and our hazing requirements. So it's basically just letting them know what they're responsible for within our school system, what they're responsible for MIA requirements, which is our athletic association, and also the Mass state laws that they're responsible for as well. So it just kind of gives them insight on that, and then same thing with the athletic handbook. It's taking everything from our student handbook, but it's also going into much more detail. There's a lot of things that I saw in our high school student handbook that wasn't really talked about, and it's a lot of the issues that we've been kind of seeing over the past couple of years, and we don't really have a set answer to how to handle those things. So it's basically just putting all of that into these 2 handbooks to make sure we cover all of our bases. The students and the coaches are fully aware of what to expect, and if something does occur, we can say, well, it's in your handbook, you're supposed to read this over. They're going to sign off, parents and students will sign off in the athletic handbook, and the coaches will sign off on the coaches handbook. And that will be done every year. students for the athletic one, they only have to sign it once a year. If they're multi-sport athletes, they'll do it whatever the first season is. And same thing, coaches, if they're multi-sport coaches, they just do it once. And again, it's done every single year, so your son or daughter is gonna do it 4 times throughout their high school career.
Thank you for including the bullying and hazing documents. Is there also some programming that the head coaches or assistant coaches that go to
So
for
we're.
more than just something that they
Yeah,
read?
so we are working on, with the DA, and John, I think you can help a little bit more on this, but we are gonna require all of our coaches, I believe,
It's the
fall sports start on August 25th, so we're requiring all of our coaches to attend a presentation along with the fall student athletes. They're gonna be attending a presentation, I believe it's on social media.
opioids, substance abuse, all of the areas that it needs to be, because it's a requirement now. And it's mandatory for all coaches, athletes, and parents. They need to come and attend, at least one parent should be there, and then we can sign off on that. So we would bring him in the 25th.
Mr. Perrin?
I have two issues I want to see if we can include in this draft. Would be, I know we had issues, there was a lot of contention about the student extra help in the mornings. I'd like to see that implemented in there and go through our.
So I put briefly in the athletic handbook, the student athlete one, if you go to page, I believe it's page 6, right at the top.
Because that was a huge bone of contention
Right.
with some parents, that it was not a policy, and they were wanted it addressed.
So for those of you who are unaware, what we offered starting in the wintertime was twice a week, with the help of Viking Pride, twice a week, student athletes who received a grade at every marking period, so progress reports and report card. If you received a grade of 69 or below, we had asked you to attend study hall twice a week. We had teachers that helped mentor and tutor these students. And what we had asked was if a student, the mentor who was responsible for study hall, the teacher, would send me a list of all the students that did attend and did not attend, and those who did not attend, we had asked would be ineligible to participate in athletics on that day. We had a very good turnout throughout the 2 seasons that we had done it, but we also had some students and some parents who were a little hesitant with the study hall process because, again, as Mr. Perrin had mentioned, it wasn't in our handbook. So we did have some students who opted out of it, which we let them do. But basically what we're asking is every, for example, first term, when progress report comes out, grade report will be run. Any student athlete who has a 69 and below, I will inform them as well as their coaches. They are to attend study hall for the next, I believe it's 8 weeks until report cards come out. When report cards come out, if they have brought all their grades above a 69, they no longer have to attend. And that will happen throughout the year and throughout every athletic season. And
That's
again,
great.
if they're tardy and or absent on that day, they just cannot participate for that given day. There's no extenuating penalty after that. It's just every time they miss or are tardy, they miss on that day for athletics.
And then my other question was, I know this has been another issue of contention, which is the senior night, which is, I understand the issue of being competitive in a game, but if we're going to call a so-called senior night, I think we should allow all the seniors to play at least a minimal amount of time. I mean, they bring family. It's a huge issue. It's probably one of the biggest things I've gotten complaints on as I show my face around town. People want to vent that their child didn't have the opportunity to play on senior night. So I think either we have to eliminate senior night if we're going to go with the policy that the coach is going to make the decision of not having a mandatory play for seniors, or we have to make it mandatory that the seniors have even a minimal amount of playing time, just so that their family can see and they can, involve themselves that night. Otherwise, I just think it's anticlimactic to say, hey, it's senior night, sit on the bench.
So I think part of what my discussion is going to be in our coaches meeting before the end of beginning of every season is, I think it's difficult to say we have to require, if we're putting in for senior night, I think it's difficult to say that we're requiring all seniors to play just because of, for a varsity sport, it is very competitive. I don't think that's necessarily fair to the coaches to say, well, you have 5 seniors, when some of those seniors coaches are just taking because, it's a kid who might not be very skilled, but, they're a good team person. They don't really want to, just senior year say, all right, you're no longer on the team. So I think it's tough to say that, but what I'd like to see all of our coaches do is, I do like the idea of, you recognizing your seniors, but I think if the coaches let these student athletes know well in advance in the beginning of the season, listen, this is my expectations of you throughout the year. I think as you get to the end of the season, I don't think you're going to see that discrepancy anymore. I don't think you're gonna, a lot of the times, I think you see that, feedback because the kid is really uncertain of where they stand in the team, and then they get to the last game, and because they're a senior, they expect that they should be playing. So I think the communication piece, I think, is really the.
I hear what you're saying,
piece
but I respectfully disagree because you're calling it senior night. I think you have to eliminate that moniker of senior night and not do it, or you have to let these kids play. Because as competitive as we are in these sports, I think you're setting up an expectation when you're telling a senior, this is the last time you're going to play on the field, the last opportunity you have. I think that it should be a mandatory play, even if it's one play in the game. Because if it's that crucial that one play is going to make the difference, I really would urge us when this goes to policy that become either mandatory or we eliminate senior night. Because I just feel as though I've gotten nothing but complaints about it every year since I've been here, this year more than any other year. And I don't want to take the autonomy away from a coach. But if we're going to call it a senior night, there's an expectation that the seniors will play. And they'll have the opportunity to step on the field one last time before they move on. So.
Mr. Mazzaro?
I need to comment on that because I understand it, but I can argue on both ends. And the reason for that is I think senior night was originally established because it was an opportunity for the seniors to take a picture with their family and be recognized that this was their last home game or that they were going to participate in. And then, yes, you would hope that because they're seniors and they're on that varsity level team, that they are playing. For some reason, this particular year, there were a couple of issues on it. And I think it was the assumption that there was going to be a lot of playing that was going to happen. And why, I don't know. I mean, that was a coach's decision or however it happened. So I think we need to define what senior night is too.
Right. That's my point. I mean,
we need to define, is it a night where we just recognize our seniors and take a picture with their family, or is it a night where it's just seniors playing? And so that's really what has to take a look at it.
Because I think it's tough to communicate to a 17 or 18-year-old student, my expectation is at the end of the year you may or may not play. Because these kids, you're right, they're never going to, I mean, and I'm not saying you're building false expectations, but I think on a senior night, I just really believe they've been part of the team. They should be stepping on that field like everybody else, even if it's just for one play or one time at bat, anything, so that they're part of the team for that last game. And I understand the whole competitive thing and taking away autonomy from a coach, but I would urge us in committee to really look at that very closely.
If I could add just one kind of comment to that. My only hesitation with that is, for example, if you have a team who needs that game for a state tournament berth, that coach has the obligation to the other 19 students who are there, and I think
he does.
I think it's tough to, put a student, especially a senior, in that situation where, we're going to say to them, okay, you have to play this student, and let's just say the outcome, unfortunately, was pending upon that student's performance. I think that's a tough area to put coaches and teammates in.
Wait a minute. I having not heard complaints or comments previous to this, it first strikes me as sort of we have to give everyone a medal for being there. Sort of.
That's not it at all. That's not it at all.
So I just think it definitely. I'm glad that you brought it up because I hadn't heard this.
But it's definitely not giving everyone a medal. It's giving people their due as a team member. When we call it a senior night, and you bring your parents to these things, so it's not about giving anyone a medal for not earning their place. It's about, we're calling it a senior night. There's an expectation set with these children that they're going to be seen on the field by their family playing one last time. So that's my only thing. So it's not about giving credit where it's not due. And I understand that the whole competitive edge, and maybe this is a way that we can write this, that, if that 1 8-second play is going to make or break the team, you have to make a decision on the fly. But,
Well, I think it definitely warrants discussion. I'm glad you brought it up because it hadn't been brought up to me previously, and I haven't heard it in an athletic subcommittee meeting before. Hang on. I think Tino had his hand up, and then you, Mr. Holden.
I was going to say, we can certainly have an athletic subcommittee meeting and the policy, because this almost plays into the coach's evaluation. It shouldn't come to the final night where this all comes up to shipping.
Right.
So I think we can have a
I get
meeting,
it.
policy and some athletics, and then work it into a conversation.
Mr. Cabrianico.
I just think that the expectation from most kids of senior night is you're taking a picture with your parents, it's your last home game. But I agree with Mr. Serino, it's unfair to the other kids. Kids, you're at that age, you're competitive. You know that, the best players are going to play. and we can't micromanage our coach. I think that's kind of dangerous
Then
to an
eliminate the
extent.
senior night, is what I'm saying.
But then it's unfair to kids who want to take the picture. I mean,
Take all the pictures you want, but we can't set that
Well,
expectation.
I'm not sure when the expectation changed.
yeah, the expectation is never, you because you pay this, senior night, you're batting lead off, and then you come out. That's never been the expectation. Or you're starting point guard tonight. That has never happened. I think that's maybe kids this generation maybe think they have it coming to it. Maybe that could be it.
Okay, thank you.
But-
I
Mr.
think I
Sarah?
can just
You know.
finalize it
Yeah.
here, and then you can move it. I think part of what occurred this particular year, I mean, let's just put it where it was that we were not in a competitive nature at that point. And I think that
That's
was
the
the
point
whole
I'm
issue
making.
at this point. If it's not in a competitive nature, we didn't need that win, or we didn't need that, then why isn't that happening?
Right.
And so I think that's really what it has to happen. And so there's where you look at the policy and you say, if it's not in a competitive nature and it
Well,
is
that's-
senior
I know
night,
we can word it, I know we can get to a
Right.
policy where it can get to that.
because that's where I got the
If,
complaints.
if it's a non-essential game, it has no bearing, winning, losing, or drawing, I mean, why not give a senior on senior night the opportunity to play? I mean,
And I'm in total
I got
agreement on
bombarded
that.
with this in the last 2 years, especially this year, more so than anything else with parents, and,
Well, I would be in agreement with that as well. I think, if it's a game that has no bearing, there's not, that everyone should have a chance to get in, senior or not. I think people should have a chance to get on the field or get on the court. I do think it comes down somewhat to a coaching supervision issue, and that hopefully that senior night wouldn't be the first time that the coach might have been, supervised or, I don't want to say spoken to. I don't think that's the issue.
I think you
But
could
that
set
we have-
expectations going into it.
Well, I think we are to develop a culture where all students get to play, and our goal is to win the championship. Our goal is to be and stay competitive, and all students have a part of that. That's what we're looking for here.
I agree. Like I said, I just want to see participation. I mean, if you set that expectation, like you say, that we're going into it, this game means something, we have to be very competitive, and you set that expectation going in, but that's not happening, from what I can see, because that's the feedback I'm getting, is that, we'll walk into this game, and I'm thinking I'm playing, and then,
So that's a
boom,
bigger
big
issue.
discussion, so.
Right.
So, related to the coach's handbook, I would like to see, I know it's been a little stifled with the terms of the coaching supervision form, or
So
not
I-
supervision form, but
Evaluation.
the evaluation, that had some traction at one point in the athletic subcommittee, and I'm not sure where it ended up.
So I'm sitting down, last I was informed, I'm gonna sit down with Mr. Sullivan, the union president. Me and him are gonna be going over, what I'd like to see in it, what he would be okay with, and then once that's finalized, then we can move forward with it.
And will that be included in the handbook, or will that be a separate document?
So basically, in the coach's handbook, just at the end, it says, coaches are subject to an evaluation at the end of the season, and I wouldn't attach the actual evaluation piece, but I'm, more than welcome to.
Just like the blank form, so they
Yeah.
would know what
Yeah, we can absolutely add that.
is on the evaluation, and
Yeah.
it's all transparent.
We can absolutely add that. Then just to backtrack really quickly on the study hall, I know I was obviously talking about the student athlete piece of it, but that's all going to be welcome for all students as well, not just student athletes. So any student in Winthrop High School, middle school that wanted to attend that could attend that as well.
It's great.
So we have the handbooks here under new business, and is this our first reading, or
Or can you,
We wanna
my question
refer
is,
it?
do you want to refer it to athletic subcommittee and then have them come out of that? Or does it go to policy? It's up to,
Well, I would say first to athletic subcommittee,
Right.
and then to policies. I would like
Sure.
for that group to have a closer look, and so I'll make a motion to refer both of these handbooks to athletic subcommittee. Mrs. Serino, is there a date that you need to begin using these handbooks?
Ideally, we are holding our fall informational night. I believe it's on August 2nd. So ideally, by then would be best, so I can get it out to the students.
Why am I thinking
for
next Thursday? If that works.
August 1st would be the latest, I would say.
Okay, so I don't see why we couldn't get this through the athletic subcommittee and the policy subcommittee in the next, next month, next
right?
2 or 3 meetings, which was well before
Yeah.
August.
That'd be perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
excellent, thank you, thanks for your time.
In the morning.
All set?
You made a motion.
Oh, sorry, a motion to refer to athletic subcommittee, is there a second? Mr. Capabianco, any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, unanimously passes. All right. So, under new business, we do have transfer of this school building as of, to the town of Winthrop as of September 1st, 2016. I would say we don't have to vote on that tonight, but we do know that that's looming, not in a bad way, but that's something we need to take care of, I would say, in the next few meetings, right? The new school ribbon cutting ceremony.
So I'm looking at either September 22nd or September 29th. I just want to make sure that you folks take a look at those dates, because those are Thursday nights, and I want to make sure that you're all available before I set the date.
What time of day are you looking at?
I would like to do it in the evening,
Like 6 p.m.?
6 p.m. You gonna be able to make it at 6 p.m.?
I'm just laughing. It's like the dentist. Make an appointment 6 months from now. Can you make it?
Right.
6 months from now.
Well, as long as you can put it on your calendar,
Right.
at least you're
I'm just smiling.
there.
That's all.
I mean, as far as I know, both those dates work for me as also. I don't see any.
You're the
holidays or
priority. You
other-
need to all be there. Everybody else, if they can't make it, they can't make it.
In general, is Thursday night an issue? Would there be a better night?
It's a good night for me.
Okay, so I would say go ahead and proceed with September 22nd.
Okay, I will, because I want to make sure that I have to, the one people that do want to be there, and I have to make sure it's on their calendar too, is the Massachusetts School Building Authority. So
Okay, so you'll get back to us.
I'll get back to you on that, yep.
I'll cancel my dentist appointment that night.
Please do.
Well, we could do the
At
29th,
6 at
Mr.
night.
Holden. Does that work better for you? You have another appointment that night? In terms of, before we move on to the next one, the spaces that have already been named,
Yes.
would that be a different night? Or is
Those
that-
would be different ceremonies that we will most likely do. We're looking to, on the last week of August, before we open up, we're trying to look at maybe piggybacking a couple of those events into one night where we can do the science wing and the math coach room.
The Learning Commons?
But, right, the Learning Commons. And then the Neil Shapiro, they're looking to do a gala event on the opening night of Little Mermaid. That, by the way, is the musical in the fall next year, is The Little Mermaid. So they figured that's a good way of really kicking it off and have a nice little gala event in the CAF, which is right next to the theater.
Awesome. Okay. Next we have the Viking Pride Foundation
Which
naming.
leads me
Mr.
right into
Sarah.
that point. So the reason I wanted to put this on the agenda is we've been doing a lot of talk about various namings of certain individuals, and for the reasons of naming them for the great contributions that they've made to Winthrop through the years, or through donations and scholarships and everything. The Viking Pride Foundation, has kicked off since 2004, and over the last 12 years, they have contributed quite a bit of money and support to the Winthrop Public Schools. That is their sole mission. The organization was established for just that mission. And as we were going through the buildings and looking at, we were giving naming rights and various things. I know that in the gymnasium, it says on the side, when you'll see the big Viking logo, and it'll say Viking Pride, but that's Viking Pride. That's not the Viking Pride Foundation, and I don't want that to get misconceived. See, this is who we are. We're Viking Pride. We're taking pride in our school. So I firmly believe, and this is just me coming to them, and I did speak to Viking Pride Foundation to see if I moved forward, if they were okay with me moving forward, because normally an organization would come forward or someone would come forward. But I would like us to consider, or for the school committee to consider, naming when you come into the high school cafeteria, naming that the Viking Pride Foundation Student Center. And the reason, we were originally looking at a couple of areas in the athletic area, but in my conversations with Viking Pride, they're not just for athletics. They're athletics, they're activities, they're student-centered. And so in my conversation with the chairperson of the Viking Pride Foundation, they felt that he had checked with his board, he had felt that if that was a possibility, that they would be honored to have that right there. So if you came into the cafeteria, it would be called the Viking Pride Foundation Student Center. Kind of very similar to what you might see when you go into colleges. They'll have like a student union. I think of the George Sherman Union over at Boston University, but other types of centers. And it's more student oriented. So obviously you do not have to take that decision tonight. I just wanted to talk about it because I kept saying I was going to talk about it, but it was never on the agenda. And so that was my
I think it's
thought to you folks.
certainly is appropriate and excellent idea. Mr. Farrow, is there any thoughts or discussion?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I think it's
Appropriate.
well deserved.
great idea, appropriate, it's a wonderful organization, they've done a ton of work for Winthrop.
So if you want to make a motion, it'd be great.
Can you make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
No, he just said that.
Right.
Student center
I'll second
at
it.
the beginning.
Great idea.
All right, hang on 1 second. Where are we at?
Renaming.
Who's making a motion for what?
To name it the Viking Pride Student.
Viking Proud Foundation Student Center.
In what area of the school is this?
Be in the high school cafeteria.
The high school cafeteria,
Yes.
Viking Pride Student Center.
Viking Pride I always try to get the foundation in so that
Student
people
Center.
know, but
Excellent.
VPF Student Center would, but
So a motion by Mr. Capabianco, second by President Driscoll.
Second?
Can I count on you?
Sure, absolutely.
Any discussion on the motion? Excellent. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Excellent. I think that's it. They will, well deserved. So thank you, Ms. Massaro. We do have some unfinished business, but I
Oh,
think.
can I bring something up on new business?
Sure.
Sorry. This is just something I've been paying attention to a lot over the last weeks. I'm gonna send an email tomorrow, maybe take a look at it more formally next few weeks. I've been paying a lot of attention to the charter school debate that's been in the papers. And I think, 58 cities and towns in the Commonwealth had made, school committees have made resolutions against lifting the cap. And I think that's something that we should take a look at and have a good discussion on. I would like to potentially see this school committee add their name to that list. So,
Any feedback or?
Is, as a point of order, does that get referred to the policy committee first, or do we just have a vote?
I don't know that it's come up before.
well, it would have to first get on the agenda, and then
Yeah.
at the agenda,
Okay.
you could decide to either talk about it there or refer it.
yeah, we could, because I've called and had some talks, we could do either or, but we could take a vote on it without it going to committee.
So let's put it on the agenda.
Okay.
For the next meeting, which is what? I don't know what
Yeah,
date
the
it
June
is.
20th.
June 20th.
I'm still working on it, but I just want to give everyone a heads up that that's something I'm going to go forward with.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, we have a couple of policies that I believe remain unfinished tonight. Yep. And then we're back to public comment. Seeing no public comment. On to public relations. Mr. Recchi, I'll start with you if you have anything.
Well, we had a very busy week last week. Senior prom, class day, but I want to make a couple of points about a couple of little concerts I attended. At the Arthur T. Cummings Advanced Band put on a great performance at the auditorium on Thursday night. And the next morning, we were at the Fort Bank School for several concerts with the kids, the children in second, third, and fourth grades, so the third grades. It was very, very nice. Excellent job. I just wanted to, a couple of things. There's going to be the CASA is joining this walk. There's going to be a walk, a recovery for addiction walk, I guess. It's going to start in Revere. And this is on June 25th. It's a Saturday at 11 o'clock. And they're actually going to, instead of just walking from Revere to Boston, to East Boston, they're actually going to come through Winthrop. And they're reminding people that, it's an issue that's starting to affect everybody. If you want more information, CASA has it. You can give CASA a call or stop by for more information. But it's Saturday, June 25th. I guess it's going to end up in East Boston at where the playgrounds are as you go down towards Bremen Street, I guess it is. And the mayor's going to be there, and there's going to be a ton of guest speakers and so forth. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Capiano, anything?
Just want to congratulate the seniors and wish them well in their future endeavors, and a thank you to everyone who's involved with that. I think it was a very successful week.
Just echoing the same, the graduation in the rink was phenomenal, decorated to the nines. I thought it looked great. Having a senior, having graduated, it was a very busy week. Haven't seen him in about a week and a half now, but it's just, it was great. Just a great thing to watch the kids from the class night all the way through the graduation itself and the prom in between. It was just a really good time.
If I may, I
Yes.
apologize, I left out Karen Perrin and Kathy Norris. They did an incredible job last week. Great work as their class advisors.
Hope they're
All
resting
4
up.
years.
Yeah, I know, I can't believe it's a 4-year commitment. Again, congratulations to all the graduates and the families, and thank you so much to all of the people that support the scholarships. It's not just the Pacellas, but there's lots of other people that give a lot of money and support these kids who are going off to the next stage of their life. And I definitely want to take a minute to thank the PTOs, the Parent-Teacher Club, and the supporters of Winthrop Sound, the parents who support the band, and probably countless other booster and parents that we don't even know what they're doing behind the scenes. And it's the end of the school year, and we're giving a lot of acknowledgments to the teachers and students, but really the parents that help run the behind-the-scenes programs all year long. I do know that the Gorman-Fort Banks School specifically is looking for PTO officers for the next school year, and if you know of a parent or if you are a parent who is sending a kindergartner to school in the fall, you could get in touch with the Gorman-Fort Banks PTO and let them know that you are interested. It's really a fun way to be involved. Your children love to see you being involved at school, especially at that age. They just love that their mom is selling raffle tickets or setting up math night or setting up the ice cream social. So if you're a parent and even if you work full time, there's really something for everyone if you have it in your heart to volunteer for your students. There's a couple of things coming up in the community. The Seaside Stride is on Friday, June 10th. Seaside Stride is an awesome event that supports Winthrop Parks Committee that's done an awesome job around the community, really renovating some parks. They have the annual Father's Day family breakfast on Father's Day, Sunday, June 19th, from 7 a.m. to 12, and that benefits the Winthrop Vikings football program. That's a regular for many, many years, right?
Yes.
And the Gorman-Fort Banks Ice Cream Social is also the night of so run the Seaside Stride and then go have ice cream at the Gorman-Fort Banks from 6 to 8 on June 10th. You deserve your Sunday, and usually, it doesn't say it here, but it's usually Twist and Shake that provides delicious ice cream, and the kids get all sugar high and go crazy on the playground, and it's a total epic event. So get involved in the community, get involved in the school events, and that's all I have for tonight. Mr. Holden?
Again, the prom was awesome. I think there should have been a red carpet out for all the students that arrived in their spectacular outfits. It was incredible. It was like watching, the Oscars. And then the graduation was incredible. And I have to, give a shout out to Mr. Beck and Ms. Flanagan for their introduction to the valedictorian and salutatorian. Mr. Beck with the most interesting student. It was just a riot. It was just incredible. So it was just a tremendous night or evening.
I wanted to echo that and congratulate Mr. Crumby and all of the high school staff. It really, obviously the students are wonderful citizens and they were just so smart to be winning all those scholarships, but what really came through that I don't think comes through in a lot of schools is their closeness as a class and how supportive they were of each other. I'm being choked up from my students. And I just, that's really hard to do, to make that happen in a high school. And so just congratulations to making that community feeling happen to all the high school staff.
President Driscoll? Anything left to say?
I could echo what everybody said about the graduation. I haven't been to a graduation in a long time. I haven't worn a gown for an even longer time. But it was really good. It's a great group of students. Talked about this with other people, my friends and family, about what a great class it is. The maturity impressed me. Their ability to speak was great. It just was a really nice feel, and we should be proud and I know I am.
Produced
So
a pretty good product there.
Yeah,
in the system.
it was really good, and so, good job.
Awesome. All right, so we have some executive session business to finish up. The chair anticipates the committee may choose, and we will go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. So we will have a roll call to vote to go into executive session. I'll make a motion to go into executive session. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Capabianco. Patty, would you please, Mrs. Hames, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Vecchia?
Yes.
Mr. Capabianco?
Yes.
Mr. Holden?
Yes.
Ms. Callis?
Here, yes.
Mr. Driscoll?
Yes.
Mr. Perrin?
Yes.
Ms. Sullivan?
Yes. We do not expect to come back to public session. We will, after we adjourn executive session, we will likely adjourn the general session right after that. Thank you.